Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus, available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.
Hello Postcasters and welcome to our look ahead to day 2 of the Royal Meeting with myself, Lee Mottershead, and my esteemed Racing Post colleagues Tony O'Hare and David Baxter, and from our sponsors Paddy Power, Mr Paul Binfield. Well, day 2 is of course when you play up your winnings from day 1, and here to help you do that, the esteemed panel will start with the Jersey Stakes, which begins the second afternoon of Royal Ascot. Looks a really solid Jersey Stakes with Le Brevido, the French 2000 Guinea second, vying for favouritism with Godolphin's Dream Castle. Josephine Gordon rides that one. De Barn, a leading contender too. Paul, how are you pricing it up?
Well, Lee, we're 7-2 joint favourites, Dream Castle and Le Brevido, 5 to Ban, 10 the Aidan O'Brien horse, White Cliffs of Dover, and then 14 to 1 Bar. Can I just add, we are, it's one of our specials, we're giving a free bet if your horse finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite, and we're 4 places each way.
Well, that is extremely generous of you. I do note that you're wearing a badge for Longines Irish Champions Weekend. You are aware that this is not Longines Irish Champions Weekend?
I'm aware of that, Lee, but as a huge supporter of Irish racing, and especially the Curragh, where we sponsor, we've got a marvellous betting facility that punters can enjoy in extreme comfort, no doubt, next weekend. As a huge supporter, that's why I'm wearing it.
Another huge supporter of Irish racing is Mr Irish Racing, Tony O'Hare. Tony, how do you see the jersey?
How do I see the jersey? There are 4 Irish runners, and I think Glastonbury Song could be the sort of the pick of them at the prices. I wouldn't mind his running the Irish Guineas. It probably was a bit too much for him at this stage of his career, and the ground wasn't suitable either, but I know they think a fair bit of him. White Cliffs of Dover swearing blinkers for the first time. Spirit of Valour, very hard to fancy. I know Johnny Mercer thinks that True Valour, I think he was 33 to 1 there over the weekend. He told me on Sunday that he's quite confident that he'll outrun his price. But I think Glastonbury Song is the best chance of the Irish each way.
David, you're one of the Racing Post resident, well, you are the Racing Post resident 2-year-old expert. All these used to be 2-year-olds. Dream Castle, Josephine Gordon. It's 30 years since we had a female winning rider at the Royal Meeting. This is a big ride for Josie. Could it be a winning ride?
No. Well, I hope it is from the ways you've just mentioned, but not in ways of my pocket, because I won't be backing her. I'd actually go for De Ban, although John Gosden's obviously going through his Rolodex now to see who's going to unfortunately replace Frankie. But solid form, back to 7, which I think is a good plus. I think the Guinea's just stretched enough. So at 5s, I think that's where I'll be going.
Okay, and guys, do we have any views on the French rider, Le Brevido, Andre Fabre's horse? I mean, coming from a Guinea second down into a Group 3, Paul, that must give him a big shout, mustn't it?
Absolutely, Lee, but I think the price reflects that. 7-2 joint favourite, short enough in a race like this, and I'm going to go with one of the Irish horses, White Cliffs of Dover, one at Newmarket, 10 to 1, Ryan on board, and the thing I like about him is the blinkers first time. You never know what will happen with those on board.
This is very true. The Queen Mary Stakes comes next. Binners, will carry straight on with you. What price are you about Wesley Ward's new Lady Aurelia, Happy Like a Fool?
Yeah, well, we're 13 to 8 favourite. I see that he's said that she's a really special filly, so that's why we're short about her. Then 6 Heartache, 9 Sheikah La Habana, 10 Neola and Treasuring, and we're 12 to 1 Barley.
And I'm going to ask you a key question here, Binners. Would you reckon that come the race, Happy Like a Fool will be shorter or bigger than the 13 to 8 you're trading at now?
I think it's going to depend on how the first day goes, Lee. We're taking on a lot of the short price ones today, on the Tuesday, and depending on how they go, then as our own company, we may take this filly on. But if we get bashed on the first day, then you could probably see us maybe going a little bit shorter. But if Wesley's right about her, we're in for a treat.
Well, David, that's the key question, isn't it? Yeah. Is Wesley right about it? To be fair, he was absolutely right about Lady Aurelia last year. I imagine that even a sage judge as yourself probably wouldn't be that hot at translating the American juvenile form to what we've got here so far. So with Happy Like a Fool, if you back it, are you really just backing what Wesley has said about it?
I think you're backing what Wesley said, what he's done before when he's brought horses over. Generally, he hasn't been too far wide of the mark time after time. We've seen it now as well. There's enough statistical evidence that you can be fairly confident. From her perspective personally, I'm just looking forward to seeing her run. I wouldn't want to have an interest at the prices. I think she's been priced accordingly and is possibly a bit short, but it could be another performance that we're still looking back on 12 months like we are with Lady Aurelia and talking in the same terms.
Tony, you have no doubt the ear of the lads, and the lads have moved to take a share in Happy Like a Fool, hence Ryan Moore being booked for yesterday. How significant would that be, do you think, the fact they've come in to get a slice of her so close to the race?
Significant enough. They haven't anything in the race themselves, Ballydoyle, which is interesting, so you could take the hint there maybe. 4 Irish trained fillies in the race. Wouldn't be madly enthusiastic now about the quartet. Mambo Noir won nicely at Cork, disappointed second start. Joseph O'Brien's Now You're Talking ran quite well, went second last time, improving but still a maiden. Sarici of Fuzzy Stacks, best form is on the all-weather, and maybe Treasuring for Gerlines won well at Navan last time out, and he did win the race before 10 years ago with El Tel, possibly the best of the 4.
What about the home team, David? Heartache, well fancied by Clive Cox. There's any host of potential high-class animals in this?
I'd actually take one at a nice price, which I think's just been slightly overlooked, maybe because people aren't. If she was in another stable in Newmarket, she'd be a few points shorter, and that's Mrs. Gallagher. Course and distance winner. Winners have come out from in behind. She showed a nice attitude that day. I mean, if Wesley Ward's horse is as good as everyone thinks, then we'll all be scrapping out for the places. But at 16s, I think, around that mark where she is, I'd certainly be interested in her.
Okay, and Binnis, what would you be interested in?
Well, with 4 places each way, Lee, I'll quickly get that in. I like Neola for Mick Channon, won at Nottingham on good ground, and then was second in a listed race at York to a nice filly of Michael Bell's called Main Desire, who unfortunately isn't going to be at the meeting, but it was soft ground that day, so back on fast ground, I think 10-1 is a bit of value.
And with those words from our sponsor, we now move into more words from our sponsor.